In a faraway land somewhere in Africa, there was a peaceful kingdom called Umunta. This kingdom was known for its green forests surrounded by palm trees and beautiful ancient houses. The people of Umunta Kingdom were kind-hearted people, known for their love and respect they had towards the royal family. They lived peacefully in their beautiful village. At the center of the village stood a mighty and well-arranged ancient palace, the pride of the kingdom, which was the home to the wise and just king named Ikemba. King Ikemba ruled the kingdom with his wife Queen Aberry, who tragically passed on with an unborn child. After her passing, the king vowed not to remarry and maintained his words. Before the queen's death, they had only one child, his beloved pretty and lovely daughter, Princess Adaeze, who was born blind. He questioned the gods for the misfortunes that came upon the royal family. First it was the princess that was born blind, and later the pregnant Queen Aberry passing on with the unborn baby. He sought for answers from all the well-known seers in the kingdom and beyond, but could not get answers. King Ikemba loved and cherished Princess Adaeze and wished she was not born blind. The king spent so much fortune while trying to get the princess to see, but all to no avail. Then he finally accepted Princess Adaeze's condition and happily ruled the kingdom. Princess Adaeze was full of life and was not even bothered of her blindness. She was so beautiful, gentle, kind, and very smart despite her condition. She was known throughout Umunta Kingdom for her great beauty and kind heart. In the tradition of Umunta Kingdom, any man who would marry Princess Adaeze as the only child of the royal family must come from Umunta. The husband to the princess would take over the kingship and rule over the kingdom after the reigning king had joined his ancestors. In this case, Princess Adaeze was a precious material that would link any lucky man she chose as a husband to royalty by marriage. At the age of 24 years, Princess Adaeze was already a very beautiful young woman ready for marriage, and the news went out to the whole of Umunta village. That automatically set the stage for serious competition among the young men in the kingdom. It became a show of the rich and the powerful. Each man tried to be the best and possibly win the heart of Princess Adaeze. Many suitors came from all over the kingdom hoping to win Princess Adaeze's heart. They visited the royal family with different kinds of expensive gift items, trying to impress the king and his daughter, the princess. But Princess Adaeze, despite her physical blindness, was a very smart and sensitive young woman. She could easily feel and read the heart of people when they spoke. Despite all the costly gifts brought to her, Princess Adaeze was not moved by those material items. She sincerely desired someone who could see beyond her physical condition or what they would gain for getting married to her, but a man who could sincerely love her for who she truly was and not for the throne or other material benefits. As a result, she turned all the suitors down. In a small hut at the edge of the village lived an orphan, handsome, humble and well-behaved young man named Obinna, who was fondly called Obinna the Orphan by the villagers while growing up. Obinna was a flutist, known for sweet melodies from his flute when he plays. He was widely known for his kindness and generosity, irrespective of his poor background and status. Obinna struggled so much while growing up, but he had a pure heart and was satisfied and happy with the little he had. Obinna spent most of his time helping his neighbors, tending to his garden, caring for the animals, and entertaining children with his flute at his spare time. Obinna was equally blessed with a divine gift of dreams. Whatever he sees in his dreams physically comes to pass. He always thinks of how to bring solution to other people's life challenges if he could. Oftentimes, Obinna would be called to the palace to play sweet melodies for King Ikemba with his flute, to entertain the king and the royal family. Princess Adaeze also enjoyed the sweet sounds of Obinna's flute whenever he played for King Ikemba. One night, as Obinna was sleeping in his small hut, he had a strange and vivid dream. In the dream, an old man appeared to him and spoke to him gently. "Obinna, you have a pure heart and a brave soul that puts smile on the faces of people who are around you. I have an assignment for you. Go to the royal palace and inform King Ikemba that the gods of the land has heard his cry. Tell him that all the misfortune that came upon the royal family was because of his father's untold sin. Tell him that his father, the late King Azogo, impregnated one of the palace servants in the past and heartlessly chased her out of the palace. She died while giving birth and laid a curse upon the royal family. King Ikemba should appease the spirit of the late maid, and once that is done, I will visit you again." The old man left. Obinna woke up worried about what he was told and wondered on how a poor orphan like him should be the one to carry such a heavy message to the king. Later that day, Obinna visited the palace and passed the message to King Ikemba. The king was happy and grateful that the gods had finally pointed out what was behind all his problems. He greatly appreciated Obinna for his boldness and courage to deliver such a message. The king later did exactly what he was told to do and visited the late maid's grave to seek for her forgiveness. Few days later, after King Ikemba had appeased the spirit of the late maid, the old man appeared again to Obinna in his dream. This time he spoke to him and revealed the solution to Princess Adaeze's blindness. He said, "My son, there is a sacred tree with glowing blue flowers that has magical healing powers. The sacred tree can only be found in the heart of the sacred forest. You must embark on a journey to find this tree and bring the flowers back to Umunta village. You should prepare the herb and apply it on the eyes of the princess and she will regain her sight. But be warned, the task will not be an easy one. The glowing blue flowers can only be visible at night under a full moonlight. But with courage, determination, and selflessness, you will succeed." When Obinna woke up, the dream was still fresh on his mind. He knew he had a big task to accomplish and knew he had to follow the old man's instructions in order to help Princess Adaeze. Without delay, he packed a small bag with some food, water, and other few simple items and embarked on the journey. As Obinna made his way through the village, the villagers watched him with curiosity. "Where are you going, Obinna?" they asked. "I am going to the sacred forest to find the sacred flowers that can cure Princess Adaeze's blindness," Obinna replied. The villagers were amazed by Obinna's bravery and determination. Some laughed at him, while others wished him well and prayed for his safe return. It was widely known that nobody enters into that sacred forest and lived to tell the story. Then the news of Obinna's deadly adventure spread in the entire kingdom. Obinna walked for days and nights, through fields and valleys, until he reached the entrance to the sacred forest. Obinna took a deep breath and stepped into the forest, determined to find the sacred tree. As he ventured deeper into the forest, Obinna encountered many challenges. The first challenge was to swim across a very deep river, which he did and managed to cross the river. He continued his journey. He got to another point that he was required to climb up a steep valley, which was the only way to get to the other side of the forest. With determination, he was able to climb the valley and move to the other side of the forest unharmed, and he continued his journey focused on getting the glowing healing flowers. As he ventured further into the forest and the sun finally went down, darkness seemed to close in faster on him. Suddenly a lion came out from nowhere and charged at Obinna from behind. The fearless Obinna turned around and engaged the lion in a fierce battle. He fought the lion aggressively and subdued it, and the lion finally fled from him and Obinna escaped unharmed. With each challenge that he overcame, Obinna became more determined and confident. He continued on his journey, knowing that he was getting closer to finding the special tree. As it became darker, Obinna walked into heavy thorny bushes that blocked his pathway on both sides of the way. He carefully walked through the sharp and dangerous thorns. As the night turned pitch black, Obinna decided to rest and pass the night under a tree. He gathered some grasses and tree branches and put up a camp under the tree. He put some firewood together and lit up the fire. He ate some food and rested for the night. The next morning, Obinna continued his journey and ventured deeper into the forest. As he was walking, he met a little girl, who looked worried and tired inside the sacred forest. Obinna, concerned about the little girl's safety, asked the girl who she was, how she got there and what she was doing inside the thick sacred forest, all alone. The little girl answered that her name was Ahwoma and explained to Obinna that she was lost in the forest. She told Obinna that she was with her grandmother at the other side of the forest collecting firewood before she was sent to fetch some drinking water, and she got lost on her way. The little girl was troubled and she said that her grandmother would be very thirsty and worried of her whereabout. She pleaded with Obinna to help her find her grandmother. Obinna was filled with compassion, so he gave the little girl some water to drink first. Afterwards, he took her and started a different journey in search of the girl's grandmother. After they walked for some time in the forest, Obinna was able to locate the girl's grandmother. Ahwoma's grandmother was tired, thirsty, and was patiently waiting for her granddaughter to return with water. Obinna, seeing the condition of the old woman, decided to give her the remaining water left to drink. The old woman was amazed by Obinna's kind and caring heart. She thanked him for the water and most importantly for bringing Ahwoma, her granddaughter, back to her safely. Then the old woman asked Obinna for one more favor. She pleaded with him to help her carry the bunch of firewood she had collected to her hut. "My son, thank you very much. May the gods of our land be with you. Please could you help me carry my firewood to my hut?" The old woman asked. "Okay, Mama, is your hut far from here?" Obinna asked. "No, my son, it is not too far from here," said the old woman. Obinna, being a very kind young man, who derives joy in seeing other people happy, agreed and carried the firewood as the old woman had requested. But unknown to him, the journey was not as short as he had thought. They walked for hours and finally arrived at a lonely hut standing in the middle of the sacred forest, without any other huts or neighbors close by. The old woman thanked Obinna for his kindness and assistance and further pleaded with him to sit, eat and have some rest and if possible, pass the night with them, so that he could continue his journey the next day refreshed. It was surprising to Obinna why the old woman and her granddaughter would be living alone in that dangerous and scary sacred forest. Then Obinna asked, "Mama, why did you choose to live deep inside the sacred forest alone with your granddaughter? Where are Ahwoma's parents?" "My son, do not worry, I will explain everything to you only if you can be patient enough," the old woman replied. But Obinna, who had no plans of staying there longer, was in a hurry to know the reason why she and her granddaughter were living alone in the sacred forest. The old woman again told Obinna that she would answer his questions only if he would agree to rest and continued his journey the next day. At that time it was already getting dark. Then Obinna responded that he had to leave immediately and continue on his journey, knowing very well that he had not yet accomplished his mission in the sacred forest. The old woman asked him what his mission was. Obinna explained that he was in search of the sacred tree with magical blue glowing flowers. He narrated to her how he was given instruction in his dream to come to the sacred forest and search for the sacred tree, in order to cure the blind princess of Umunta Kingdom. The old woman, on hearing his story and seeing Obinna's heart, begged and persuaded Obinna to stay overnight, and she promised to assist him get to the sacred tree the next day. Obinna pondered over the offer for a moment and finally accepted to rest and pass the night with them. The old woman and her granddaughter became happy. She then prepared dinner and they all ate. As they were seated outside the hut, under the moonlight, Obinna with his flute in his hand entertained the old woman and Ahwoma, her granddaughter, with sweet melodies deep into the night. They enjoyed the melodies and were glad that they had Obinna around. Later on, they all went inside the hut. Obinna once again asked the old woman why she lived in the sacred forest, and she told Obinna that she would definitely tell him before he leaves. While they were busy talking, a very tired Obinna gradually slept off and had a dream. In that dream he saw Ahwoma's grandmother taking him to a spot at the back of her hut where she showed him the sacred tree with the magical healing powers. It was so real that Obinna woke up immediately. But as he looked around the hut, he could neither find the old woman nor her granddaughter. Then he realized that he was sleeping there all alone. He was surprised and he quickly stepped out of the hut in search of the old woman and her granddaughter. He searched around and outside the hut, but there was no sign of them. Then he decided to search at the back of the hut. As he went to the backside of the hut under the bright full moonlight, Obinna saw the beautiful magical sacred tree with glowing blue flowers. Obinna could not believe his eyes, but at that moment he knew that was the tree he had been searching for all along. He rushed back inside the hut, took his belongings and climbed the tree. He plucked the glowing blue flowers and placed them inside his bag until the bag was filled up. As he came down from the tree about to leave, he heard a deep, scary voice. "Who the hell are you to enter my territory and take my precious flowers?" Obinna looked up and saw a scary giant man, who could easily change his physical appearance, standing before him. The giant man had glowing eyes that could change into different colors. His presence made Obinna afraid for the first time in his entire journey. Obinna stepped forward and said, "I am Obinna, a humble and harmless orphan boy, who came from the land of Umunta Kingdom. I have come to get these flowers from this magical sacred tree to cure Princess Adaeze's blindness, as I was instructed by my ancestor. Please, allow me take these flowers and journey back to my kingdom." The giant man looked at Obinna with his glowing eyes and said, "Many have tried to take these flowers, but none have succeeded. "Why should I let you take them?" Obinna replied, "I do not seek the magical healing flowers for personal gain. I seek it to help someone in need, who is very dear to my kingdom. I faced many challenges on my way before I finally got here. Please, let me take the flowers and bring light into the life of Princess Adaeze." The giant man's heart was softened by Obinna's response. "Your heart is pure, and your intentions are without fault. You have proven yourself worthy. Take the flowers as much as you can and guide them wisely. Go now. Take this direction, it is less challenging than the path you took to get here," the giant man advised. Obinna bowed in respect and appreciation of the giant man's permission. As he lifted his head up, he surprisingly noticed that the giant man and the sacred tree had disappeared. He turned around and the old woman's hut had also gone, leaving him in total disbelief. It was only then that Obinna realized that he had encountered the guardian spirits of the sacred forest. He reflected over the little girl and the old woman, the magical tree and the giant man. All put together, he was left terrified, but on the other hand he felt fulfilled. Under the bright moonlight, Obinna immediately began his journey back to the village of Umunta. The challenges he overcame and the reward of having in his possession the magical healing flowers gave him motivation, with a sense of purpose and determination. Obinna eventually got tired after walking for hours. Then he decided to rest, and as he was about to put up campfire next to a tree, he saw a hut very close, the roof completely covered with green plants and leaves. He investigated further and realized that it was an abandoned hut. He went inside, rested and passed the night there. The next day he continued his journey back home. While Obinna was struggling in the forest, at the palace, Princess Adaeze became worried as days and nights passed by without any sign of Obinna returning to Umunta. It was a known fact that a journey to the sacred forest was deadly, and the thought of that increased Princess Adaeze's worries and unhappy mood. But King Ikemba continued reassuring the princess that Obinna would return alive. Obinna walked for few days more and finally reached Umunta Kingdom. As he entered the village, the villagers were overjoyed to see him return safely. They celebrated his return and welcomed him as a hero. He got to his hut, refreshed, and went to the palace. As he entered the palace, he started playing his flute, which alerted King Ikemba and Princess Adaeze of his arrival from the sacred forest. King Ikemba and Princess Adaeze warmly welcomed him to the palace. Obinna narrated to them all that happened on his journey, the challenges, the strange people he met and the help he received from them in the forest. But at the end of it all, he confirmed returning with the magical healing flowers. "My king, I have brought the glowing blue flowers from the sacred forest that can cure Princess Adaeze's blindness," Obinna announced with gladness, holding in his hand the glowing blue flowers. "With your permission, my king, I would like to prepare the mixture immediately," Obinna said. The king granted him permission and Obinna immediately moved to a room and carefully prepared the herb, following instructions he had received in his dream. He made a portion and gently applied it on Princess Adaeze's eyes. Within a short period after he had applied a portion on Princess Adaeze's eyes, suddenly warm light rays filled the room. Princess Adaeze blinked and slowly opened her eyes. For the first time in her life, she could see, and the first person she saw was Obinna, the orphan boy. Her eyes filled with tears of joy as she looked at her father and then at Obinna once again. "Thank you, Obinna," she said softly. "You have given me the greatest gift I could ever receive." King Ikemba was overwhelmed with gratitude and he said, "Obinna, you have shown a great level of bravery and kindness. You have brought hope and light to our lives. As a token of our gratitude, I would like to offer you anything you desire. Do you want a piece of land, a new house, gold or silver? Please just mention it. I am capable and I will certainly provide it," the king declared. Obinna thought for a moment and then replied, "Your Majesty, I am honored by your offer. But I did not heal the princess, the gods of our land did. Her healing was not by my own power and or for any personal gains. I only obeyed instructions given by the gods of the land. All I have ever desired is to help my people the little I could." Witnessing Princess Adaeze see with her eyes for the first time, "With so much joy is enough for me, my king." The king smiled and nodded. "Obinna, you are indeed a true hero of our time in this entire Umunta Kingdom. Your wisdom, humility, and generosity are an inspiration to us all. As days passed by, the news of Princess Adeze's magical healing spread like wildfire, causing a greater number of wealthy and influential men from all over the kingdom to start trooping in and out of the palace, seeking for the hand of Princess Adaeze in marriage. But Princess Adaeze was not moved by all of that, and she continually turned down all the suitors, as was the case during the time of her blindness. At that point, King Ikemba became worried about her constant rejections of all the suitors. King Ikemba spoke to Princess Adaeze concerning his worries. "Princess Adaeze, my daughter, you know you are my only child and all I have. You must get married for the throne of this kingdom to remain in this family. Your continual rejection of all your suitors is giving me sleepless nights. Why are you turning all of them down?" The king asked. "Father, I know all this and I do not want to accept any suitor in a hurry. I need a man who is pure and sincere in heart. I will definitely bring you a son-in-law that you and the entire kingdom will be proud of. Just give me a little more time and it will be settled." The princess replied. During this period of time, Princess Adaeze would invite Obinna occasionally to the palace to perform with his flute. Over time, Obinna and Princess Adaeze started spending more time together. They shared stories, laughed and learnt from each other. And gradually they both formed a strong bond. Obinna's kindness, courage, bravery and ability to entertain Princess Adaeze and always put a smile on her face gradually won the heart of the princess, and she finally fell deeply in love with Obinna, the orphan boy. They were often seen together in the palace, on the road and even at the market square, displaying open affection to each other. One day, Princess Adaeze went to her father, King Ikemba, and said, "Father, I have found my true love who you can entrust the peace and happiness of this kingdom to. Father, that person is Obinna. In this short period I have spent with him, he has shown me what it means to be kind, brave, caring and above all loving. So Father, I need your blessing and permission to marry him and spend the rest of my life with him. He makes me complete." King Ikemba was delighted to hear that from the princess, ending his fears of not getting a son-in-law before joining his ancestors. Without delay, King Ikemba gave his blessing for their union. He was fulfilled to have such a brave and wise young man as a son-in-law who would eventually become the future king of Umunta Kingdom. As a matter of fact, most of the rich and influential suitors who were turned down by the princess were not impressed with Princess Adeze's choice of having Obinna, the poor orphan boy, as a husband. They did everything they could to make King Ikemba persuade the princess to change her mind, but all their efforts were in vain. To their surprise, Obinna and Princess Adaeze later got married in a ceremony filled with joy and celebration attended by the entire kingdom. The villagers rejoiced, knowing that their beloved princess had finally found true happiness in the hands of a brave, kind and courageous young man, Obinna. Obinna and Princess Adaeze lived happily as husband and wife. And they took over the throne after King Ikemba peacefully joined his ancestors at a very old age. Obinna and Princess Adaeze finally ruled Umunta Kingdom with compassion and wisdom, always putting the needs of their people first. They taught their children the values of kindness, bravery, and patience, ensuring that these virtues would be passed down through generations. The story of Obinna, the poor orphan and the blind Princess Adaeze of Umunta Kingdom became a legend. It was told and retold around campfires and under the moonlight, inspiring young and old alike to believe in the magic of kindness and the strength of the human spirit. This story is a reminder that a true hero must be kind, brave, selfless, and willing to help others without expecting any reward. It teaches that when we follow our dreams and stay true to our values, we can achieve the impossible and even bring light to the darkest of places. Thank you for watching. Please kindly subscribe, like and share. Remain blessed.